Tyson, have you done the review yet, and what was the takeaways?
The coaches have met.
Yeah.
Takeaways, it's a long list, so it's around, what do we think will work for us going forward? How far away are we from our best? How can we play more consistently throughout games and over weeks as well?
When you say what will work best, is that just how you're going to play better, or is it also an eye to, if things continue to trend in the direction they are, how you set up the rest of the year in terms of getting games into guys and that sort of thing?
No, there's nothing around the end of the year, and what can we get out of the rest of the year? What we can get out of the rest of the year is winning games, and still pushing for finals, we know that. It's more about, we like to play aggressive in offence. Can we defend when we do? Are we playing well enough as a team defensively, to slow the game down when we need, to stop teams from scoring? At the moment, the answer is no, clearly, or not consistently enough, like I said. So that's just, when I talk about balancing a game, it's more about that.
How far are you away from your best when you get it? What are the coaches what's the feel there?
Which week are we talking about would be the question. I mean, the showdown game was a really good performance against who we consider a top quality side. Geelong, again, another good side, and the first half was pretty good. You're watching it back. If you didn't know what happened in the second half, you're thinking, well, this is going okay for us. We missed opportunities in offence. We know that. We didn't convert in front of goal. We know that. We arguably could have been up at half time if we did. We still, obviously, I'm the defensive coach, and we need to stand up in that area, and I don't think we defended that well in the first half. I think we just held up in some key moments. Lockie Jones was huge for us against some pretty bad looks. So it's more the second half of why didn't we sustain that brand of football for a whole game.
Why does it look, against Collingwood, Bulldogs and Geelong, when the teams are getting on top, why does it look so bad from a port perspective? I know the guys are still trying, but it looks like, watching on that it's almost like waving my flag kind of stuff. To use the phrase. Yeah.
And that's where we get to the balance of offense versus defense. If we connect offensively and we take our chances, we look very damaging. And it's good for us, but then it's when we don't, how can we still stand up and get the game back on our terms when we're not connecting as well as what we have in the past? So that's the challenge. We want to be exciting, but we want to be able to defend teams as well.
How much does that come back to resilience or desire to keep fighting in a way? Because it seems like teams can get 3-4 goals up, and then it seems like they just got the guys in line.
Yeah, I don't know if it's we're not talking putting white flags up, turning our toes up. We're talking more about not being deflated when it doesn't go your way. When we think there's a brand of offence we want to play and we don't get the outcome, can we still go back to the well with it, knowing that it's going to work more times than not if we play it the right way? They're probably the questions in the consistency we're trying to achieve in that phase of the game, that asking players, do you believe in this brand of football? Do you enjoy playing this brand of football? And the answer is yes. Then it's like, well, let's keep going after it. And then we'll make adjustments to make sure that we can either set up behind the ball well, or our contest stands up when it needs to. So that's trying to get that balance throughout a game.
So are players dropping their heads when things aren't going their way at the moment a
Not,
little bit?
It's hard. It's hard to throw. You're not going to throw players under the bus and say they give up, but it is deflating when you don't execute, when maybe you should have. So can you still go for the same kick you took last time, even though you turned the one over before? We're really encouraging to do that. Let's not go into our shell. Let's play the brand of football that you enjoy playing, and that way, at least they've got something to strive for. It's just when it goes against us, can we stand up and shut the game down when we need to? All the little things in football games when you lose momentum, being able to quell that and get the game back on your terms.
Through all the games this year, you get to win a final quarter. Is there concerns over running out games and whether the guys are fit enough?
No, I don't think it's fitness. I don't think it's fitness. I think it's talking about the mental state that you're in of, can I be a good teammate for 4 quarters? Have we invested too much into offence in the first 3 quarters and not be able to see the game out that way, or we lose our focus on what's really important? I think that's more around that. I keep saying balance in the game, but it really is, because you look at if it's a Hawks game, we worked really hard for 3 quarters. and maybe that has an effect on your running numbers in the last quarter. But I think we're fit enough. I just think we have to be brave enough and big enough to see out games better.
Is that something you need to dig down on though, whether that's now in the buys? Like to not win a final quarter is pretty damning.
Yeah,
10 games,
yeah.
however many games.
It's concerning, but it'd be more damning going after the wrong thing. So we want to be pretty sure that, is it fitness? Is it running numbers via the GPS in the last quarter, or is it a game style of going away from what we do really well, or not being able to get the game in the tempo that we require for periods throughout maybe the first 3 quarters. So then you do have the capacity to work in the last. It's probably more around there. So we're definitely looking into it. I won't be giving you guys the answer, but we are. Yeah, we're looking into it. That's for sure.
Can you salvage your season still? Like pretty. I know you're 4 and 6, but the percentage is pretty down there as well.
Yeah.
So that means almost an extra game behind in a way.
Yeah, it's going to be harder work than if we were sitting on top of the ladder. That's for sure. Had we won a couple of close games earlier, it would look better again. But there's still a lot to work for. We're not midway through the year yet, so we think, like we said, we have the players to play a really good brand of footy. We think we can turn up on our day. The consistency throughout a game and from week to week is what we're striving for at the moment.
Are these tweaks, you're sort of talking about it as more kind of taking a step back and overviewing things. Is this tweaks to the game plan? Are you really taking a step back and going, do we need to change and overhaul things?
That was our questioning, within the coaches meeting. Do we need to make changes? So you go step through the game and no, that's actually a pretty good look, or that's a really good defensive look for us. Do we require change is the main question, and going through, or are we just not executing what we plan to do consistently enough throughout a game?
Are all the coaches on the same page about that? Or I know that probably everyone's trying to look for answers.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Are you all on the same page about what you need to do?
That was the frank conversations we had today about, do we believe in it? And got thrown around the room. Do we believe in the offense, the contest aspects, the defensive method? And then we had to come to an agreement that we are all on the same page. We do believe in it. So what we did roll out through pre-season and the early part of this year, we still believe that will work. Just finding a way to make sure that we can educate well enough from week to week, and then the players can ultimately execute on game day.
We talk about brutal reviews of players. What is that like as a coach when you're basically questioning your philosophy mid-season?
Yeah, I wasn't bouncing into the club this morning after conceding 115 points against. But that's where, when you do have the backing of your head coach and the other assistant coaches, it's a nice feeling. And when the players believe in it, and you can really be honest about how they're performing, knowing that they're always trying their best. We believe that. We believe they know what to do. They're going out there to try and perform the best they can. So the worst thing that's going to happen would be to splinter. And some people not believing it, and if they don't believe in it and they don't speak up, then that's worse again. So that side today was all about put it on the table. If you don't believe in something, then say it. But we are on the same page and we think it can work.
You're in a unique scenario in that there's going to be a coaching change at the end of the year, and obviously that discussion you're talking about isn't predicated around that, but how do you sort of handle these weeks going forward when, again, I know you don't focus on external noise, but you've got Jim Bartell and James Hird and those sort of guys saying that once the season's over, change should happen and that sort of stuff. How do you keep the players in on this, knowing that, hey, the guy that they're playing under Naya now isn't going to be there next year?
Yeah, but he's here this year. So that's kind of, when the season is over, which is in late September, hopefully, then the season's over. And it's up until that date. So at the moment, it's Ken's got the energy, and we support him. We love the way he goes about it, and we're, like I said, we had the conversation today to make sure we're all on the same page and we're all together moving forward. So at the moment, there might be external noise, but internally, Ken is our head coach, and we like that, and we're going to see that out until the end of the year. So that's our mentality.
Internally, do you feel that today was a line in the sand moment, so to speak, in terms of the season, but also like you talked about the game plan, everybody and believing?
The line in the sand's a bit strange. It was a week to be really clear and have a very clear, pointed focus going forward. And we didn't have, like I said, anyone running a tangent that wasn't the same as everyone else. So it was more about just having an alignment that we have had and just making sure that we're still there.
Do you have any updates on the three guys who suffered the injuries on Saturday?
Yes, I do. What were they, Jamie? No.
Jason?
It's going to make me weep. So Hornets, not terrible, but it's a hamstring. It's looking like a month, maybe less, if the next few days go well for us and for him. So, yeah, post-bye, more than likely. Lockie Jones is a bit more sinister. He'll be more 8 than 4. So 6 to 8 is around the mark, but again, it's early stages, and we know that it's not a great result for us, and he was playing some really good footy, unfortunately. And then Sinner is sore, but there's nothing. There's no cracked bones. He had scans. He went to the hospital after the game, but it's more of just a hematoma, contusion, bleeding. So he'll be stiff and sore for the next couple of days, and then we'll just see how he progresses. But here's a test for this week, depending on his pain and his performance.
He covered to the hip, is that right?
Yeah, flush on the hip, and they don't tickle. So he's a brave man, and he's pretty tough. But yeah, that's going to slow anyone down. So it's more about he'll be able to handle some pain, but can he still perform at the level we need? So we'll find out later in the week.
Obviously Jason's the bad one to his other Lockie. I mean, the fact that it's more sinister, is that a bit surprising? Because Jason really grabbed it there while Lockie, it didn't look worse.
Yeah, it's not surprising given that last time he did his hamstring, he thought he had a hamstring cramp, and it was basically off the bone. And then the next time he thought he tore it, but it was just a cramp. So it was kind of he's another really tough character. But either way, they're not great results for people of the club, and good performance so far for us.
With Jace going out, you're talking about wanting to keep that that attacking mindset and that sort of thing. But then, what do you do about Connor? Is that the debate this week? Put him back in the midfield. You've obviously got Boakey floating around, but or do you want to keep that attack and that rebound off halfback with Connor?
It's not a debate from my point of view. I really like him at halfback. No, it is something you talk about. So we'll discuss that when we've got absolute confirmation of who's available this weekend and who's not, and then work out a plan to suit who we're playing against and our best looks.
How much weight does that put on Zach, given he was held pretty well on the weekend, and obviously Jace was out for much of that contest?
Yeah.
He can't do it all.
No, he can't. No, he can't.
How do you support him if Connor doesn't go in there?
Well, that's where there should be no more weight put on Connor. On Butchie, that already is. It's just more about the guys around him to help complement him and also take some of the load when required.
Johnny, have you lost Miles to the midfield group as well?
He's never lost the midfield. He's still a back playing mid.
Can I just ask one broad one, just about the stuff around
Very last
Selwood passing. Do you feel, we've got Spud's game and that sort of thing, but do you feel like we need even more awareness with a mental health round or something along those lines to promote it further? Yeah,
look, as tragic as it is, and it is tragic, I'm probably not educated enough in the space. You do hear about support foundations and ways to connect in with people and are you okay day, all that kind of stuff. I don't know personally if it's enough or if it's not enough, but it is tragic.